Hello, my name is Donna Kilo, and today I would like to share with you some information about three of the programs inside of the Adobe Creative Suite, also known as CS4. The three programs are Illustrator, Photoshop, and Camera Raw. And after the programs, all of the programs work separately or together, creating, editing, and converting images. The first program that I'd like to speak about is the Illustrator program. And Illustrator is a program for vector images, and vector images are images that you create with the use of lines and curves and points that are mathematically calculated inside the program. And the most common function for Illustrator would be the pen tool, which this was made using the pen tool. You use anchor points and lines to redirect each curve and build shapes, and then you can add gradients and color, and basically you can resize it and it will not lose any detail. And that is my demonstration for the Illustrator program. And that type of imaging is mostly used for advertising, logos, and typesetting. This is because the vector image that you have created in Illustrator does not lose any information when you resize it. So for example, if you want to use the same logo for your business card, or the sign in front of your shop, or even a billboard on the side of the road, you can, and it will not lose any information. And having seen and discussed the Illustrator program, let's move on to the Photoshop program and how they can be used together. Okay, Photoshop is a raster image program. Raster means that it is made up of small pixels. And resizing and editing is not as simple in Photoshop as it is in Illustrator, because when resizing a raster image, you lose information if it is not done properly. And the book, Against the Clock, tells you how to properly resize raster images. However, once you have chosen your pixel size of the image that you want for your end result, then you can begin editing your photos in Photoshop. And the most popular style of Photoshop editing is composite editing. And this photo was made by composite editing. This has 7 different photos, pieces of 7 different photos in one. All of these were done separately, and then I used different tools inside Photoshop to manipulate them to look as if they are all in the same type of picture, or from the same type of picture. And the tools that I used to do this composite was layers, layer masks, channels, and clipping paths. And basically, to do this, or in Photoshop, you use all of the tools in order to make one photo. And because I chose my pixel size at the beginning, Photoshop will choose how each individual picture will be pixelated to make one solid picture at the end. And now, having talked about creating a vector image in Illustrator and editing photos in Photoshop, now let's talk about converting photos in the program Camera Raw. And Camera Raw is a program inside the Adobe Creative Suite that allows you to take a raw image with a digital camera, meaning that the raw image will not have any exposure or color in it. And you take this photo and open it inside Camera Raw to adjust the amount of exposure, color, white balance, clarity, saturation, and contrast yourself. And this allows you to make your photo look exactly how you want it to look, no matter the lighting in any situation. You can then take your processed photo, and you can also put that into Photoshop to do other types of manipulations with the photo after you choose your exposure. And this is a photo that I took, a raw digital photo that I took in Camera Raw, and opened it in Camera Raw and adjusted the white balance. I added exposure, I did clarity up here and saturation, and then I blurred the background to make it have an aperture effect to it. And I did some highlights and some contrast, and then put it into Photoshop and cropped it and resized it. And this is my Camera Raw example. And then this is a project that I did that has all three together. I used Illustrator to draw the models, and also for the type, and then I used the Photoshop in order to put everything together and make it look more realistic for printing purposes, and I used Camera Raw in order to add the exact colors that I wanted to the swatch down at the bottom. And this is my presentation for the Adobe Photoshop CS4. Oh.